Hi, I'm Doug from Dynamic Computing, and welcome to episode 163 of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. This week I'm doing what I do every year and giving you guys an overview and a flavor of Amy West. Now, Amy West is a yearly show that's been going on since like 1998 in Sacramento, California, and it is a blast. Started out with the Sacramento Amiga users group there, having an annual meeting. They used to have hundreds and hundreds of people coming to Amy West. Then, of course, the 2000s came, and we all know what happened then. But things are picking up again. For the past several years, I've been attending Amy West, and I've been having an absolute blast of a time up there. I found some really cool things, including my Amiga 1000, which I absolutely adore, that I bought at Amy West. And this year I got a couple of really cool things, like a kitchen sink time-based corrector that I'll be doing a review on when I implement it with my video toaster, and hopefully get back to using my toaster a little bit more. This year, as we were driving through Los Angeles, I picked up Matthew, who is a new Amiga aficionado. He's got an Amiga 500, and while he was at the show, he bought an Amiga 1200, which is awesome. Good kid. He's 34 years old. So that was a blast. And my son Daniel came again this year to help me man the booth and just so we can get to spend some father-son time together. Now, this year, a lot of the people who've not been able to come since COVID made it back, including Trevor, including Matthew from Amiga Kit. Look, here's a handsome picture of the three of us right there. And it was an absolute blast meeting some of these people that I've literally known for years and had conversations with for years, but never actually met face to face. It's always fun. And it's always fun meeting up with old friends again, too. Amiga Kit had an awesome booth, and I bought a nice amount of swag while I was there, spent a little money on that. And you can see a couple of these pictures here where Matthew had a really nice setup where he had some hardware for sale, a little bit of software for sale. It was an absolute blast. Now, there's always a rather large group of Amiga 1 owners that use the Amiga OS 4.1. And they had some great displays again this year. And they actually had a developers conference before the show that concentrated quite a bit on Amiga 1 development. I wasn't there for the DevCon, so I don't have much to say about that. I can say there were some absolutely awesome displays. I'm going to take you on a tour here in a minute and show you some of them. And then we're going to end up with a photo collage most of the photos were taken from my friend Mike Brantley, who had a really nice camera there. He and I had a nice chat about his equipment. And then he gave me permission to post his photos here in my video. So you'll see that in just a second. It was absolutely lovely to finally get to meet some of the developers of the A4091 board, which is absolutely too cool. And looky what I have here, the A49 SCSI board. Thank you, my friend. I really, really, really appreciate it. I'll be doing a review on that in a couple of weeks, but it is a fantastic recreation of the original Amiga A4091 SCSI board. There were some game developers there. Daniel, the guy who did Doki Doki Literature Club for Steam, the PS4, PS5, the Switch, Xbox. He was there, and he's developing an Amiga game, which he will then port to some of those other lesser, platforms like the PS5 and like the Switch, just little things. But the Amiga is what he's going to be developing his new game for. Really, really some cool stuff. I got to meet Dale Luck, which was awesome. I got to meet a couple of the other developers of the Amiga. You'll see some pictures there of some of the other developers that we met. Every Saturday of Amy West, they have a nice big banquet. Here's a picture of a bit of the turnout from that. This year, it looked like there were maybe 70, 75 people at the banquet, which is a nice turnout for an Amiga event. And Gary Hare was the speaker. And he was, at one point in time, the CEO of Amiga Inc. A lot of you may not remember those times, or they push those out of your head when Amiga Inc. was trying to get into things like the, BlackBerry and making games for the BlackBerry platform after the iPhone and Android came out and BlackBerry was losing market share like this, and they announced, hey, we're going to make games for the BlackBerry. Great, good timing. And he was CEO at that time, and he had some interesting stories to tell. Not all of them very positive, but interesting nonetheless. There were some fantastic speakers at the show that just back to back, we were talking about game development. We were talking about new software, new hardware that's coming out for the Amiga. I lent my Amiga 600 to a buddy of mine who wanted to do a demonstration of Amiga demos. So he crammed them all on my Amiga 600 and he used that for his demonstration. One of the coolest was the new A600 right here that was talked about by Matthew from Amiga Kit. Now this is kind of like the same shape as a Vampire. It's designed mainly for game playing, but not only game playing on there. And it's a really, really nice piece of hardware that we're going to be exploring more deeply very, very quickly. I'm going to do an in-depth review on that in the next couple of months. But I encourage you to pop over to the link that I'm putting in the description that has some of the description of the Amiga or the A600 machine. And I'll also link to the video presentation that Matthew did on that. But for now, let's just jump into a quick little tour of the actual Amy West show. Come along. Of course, we've got to start out with my display here. I brought an absolute ton of stuff, including my son. And I had an Atari 7800 there, all kinds of goodies. Every year we have a competition hosted by Jerry. And this year it was a really fun game that I'd never even got a chance to play because it was always occupied. And I think the high score was, what, 200 some odd thousand? Really, really a good job. It was Nightmare. And the winner got a nice little 3D printed display that you just saw on top there. Moving right along, this is from Daniel. This is the creator of Doki Doki Literature Club for the Steam, PS4, PS5, and the Switch. He's working on a new Amiga game that's just incredible. It's just going to knock your socks off. And then we've got a beautiful, beautiful display from our friends from Rabbit Hole Computing, Alex Perez, with his new Zulu SCSI implementation. It's a variation of the Blue SCSI, and there's quite a story behind that. And he's also done the SCSI to SDs over the years. But the Zulu SCSI, I think that's going to be the way to go. It's really, really incredible. And he's just open sourcing some of the stuff. Now, Dale Luck and Chris Collins came up with this really great display of what was the original Amiga Ranger project. You'll notice that that mock-up there looks like an Apple IIc. That's because the designer of it was the designer of the Apple IIc, which is pretty cool. So this was possibly going to be what the Amiga 2000 became if they had not gone with the German variation of it. There's a bunch of, looks like they're written on the back of napkins, ideas and thoughts. This is the actual case. This is the mock-up. None of this here works. This is just the actual case and keyboard that was mocked up for the Amiga Ranger product, which is really, really cool. And then moving along a little bit, we're going to be looking at the actual case and the logo that they were considering using. Again, these were just mock-ups back in the 80s. And a kind of an implementation of it. This implementation was designed just to see how everything was going to fit. Made of plexiglass, where everything was going to go. Again, this is, I believe, just totally non-functional here. And this is a board that was a kind of a testing board, a Zorro testing board that could plug into the Zorro 1 slot on the side of the Amiga 1000 and add these Zorro 2 slots in that they were testing. And some of these boards actually work. There are some cool manuals that came along with them too that were very descriptive. Kind of neat. I hope you can read fast. Now, this is an actual test board in use on an Amiga 1000. This was theoretically one of the directions the Amiga might have gone, and these are the testing boards to test the expansion capabilities of it. So the actual Amiga Ranger project was apparently very different than what we all thought it was. You know, if you read about it on Wikipedia, it's talking about maybe 7-bit graphics, 128 color graphics, but it wasn't quite exactly that. It was more of a new case design, no Zorro implementation, without quite the hardware upgrades we were talking about. Now, of course, at AmiWest every year, they have a really, really nice sale of used Amiga parts that they get in. This year, they had like 5 or 6 Amiga 1200s and some Amiga 500s, keyboards, mice, hardware. I got some cool stuff I'll be doing a show on, including a nice kitchen sink time-based corrector, because everybody needs a time-based corrector. Some really nice stuff, as always. There was a big raffle this year, and those were some of the raffle tickets that were being purchased. Now, coming along this way, we've seen another couple of Amigas, including this absolutely gorgeous case that I'm going to pan down to in here in just a second. Look at that lovely, lovely case. Now, that is a work of art, and he was selling that at the show. If I was a rich man, I may have bought it, but I honestly don't need another Amiga 500. Now we got some games going on here, which is always fun. Some more Amiga 2000s. Then this strange contraption here. I have no idea how this even got into the door here. Some kind of Atari computer? Atori? I don't know. Of course, we've got a nice SGI workstation here. This was probably about 30 or 40 grand when it's brand new, and it could do some of the things that the Amiga first started doing in 1987, so I'm pretty impressed. Now here, this is the gentleman displaying the Unijoystickle, which I'm going to do a review on in a couple of days. This is a 2-stick solution for our two-stick games. That's really cool. So something like Rogue Declan works great with it.
Far worse than you think.
Oh, look what I ran into here. Oh, somebody's having their revenge on me.
There's not.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God. Absolutely love it. Doug's True Love Atari. Well, it's true. I mean, I do have an Atari right there.
This is horrible.
Whoops. With a scrolling screen.
Pretty cool, huh? It was a lot of fun, a lot of really great people there. Really a good time. Have no idea how that strange Atari sign got put in front of my display, though. Chris Collins. And certainly there will be no revenge taken next year from me about it. No, don't even think about it. I encourage everybody in the United States who's an Amiga fan, get a ticket for next year's AMI West. Let's make it bigger than ever. I'd love to see some of my fellow Amiga YouTubers and Twitch streamers, you know, Amiga Bill, the Amigos, Chris Edwards, Kevin Quattro, Jack from Pints and Amiga. I'd love to see the group of us go up there and have a presence. You know, let's really show the world that the United States loves the Amiga and has always loved the Amiga, and let's represent, brothers. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate it. Did things a little differently and put my patrons in with some of the photos that we had earlier. But thank you to my wonderful patrons. Please follow me on Twitter, follow me on Mastodon, follow me on Blue Sky, and Threads, and Instagram, and Facebook, and all of those wonderful places. I would love to interact with you guys more. Take a look at some of the great AMI West streams that were done. I'll link to those in the description that Bill Brisari did. He does an incredible job every year of handling the streaming and the video work. And a huge thanks to Robert Bernardo, who actually does the filming. You've seen a picture of him there with a camera. He's an awesome, awesome guy, and he does a great work with the video equipment. Thanks to everyone from the Sacramento Amiga users group who contribute their time and money and invest their, you know, their time into this great AMI West show. But until next time, this is Doug from 10 Minute Amiga Retrocast, signing out.